Today, inshallah, we want to start talking about delusion and imagination. Delusion here means an assumption, a wrong assumption. It means an imagination. Delusion or presumption is not proof for anything. Yani, your mere assumption of something based on something you imagine is not evidence for anything. Mental judgments are proof. You know the mental judgments. There's the mental necessity, what the mind says must exist. And non existence is impossible for it according to the sound mind. The impossibility, what the mind says cannot exist. Existence is impossible for it according to the mind. And the possibility is what the mind says could be existent or non existent. Those are the mental judgments. None of that is imagination or delusion or assumption. The creed is not supported by delusion, and nothing in the religion is supported by delusion, or confusion, or imagination. It is supported by sound intellect and authentic documents. The religion is supported by sound intellect and authentic documents. Documents at the highest levels of authenticity and fact. Also, illusion is not evidence. Illusion is like a picture. It's a deception to your eye. That includes the videos that you see, whether it's animation, whether it's drawn animation, what people call 2D animation. So once it's animated, that's an illusion to the eye. Even a flip book, You know what a flip book is? When you draw many drawings. Each one is similar to the other, but just different slightly. So that when you just flip through those quickly, it looks like an animation. That's the basis of animation there. Then they have what they call 2D animation, which is like animation by hand drawn pictures, animation of hand drawn pictures. And then they have what they call 3D animation, which is not really 3D. It's 2D also. It's just computer generated. That's an illusion. It's 2D only. It tickles me actually that people talk about 3D animation as if it's really 3D. It's not. Like we said, they just make use of shading and the like to give the impression of something that has depth when really it's just 2D also. So it's a trick on your eye. That's an illusion. It's not evidence. And even if it's just video of normal things, like we mentioned in a previous class, the news anchor, that's very normal behavior. It's still an illusion which you are seeing on your screen. Because what you're really seeing is pixels, many dots of color, composed in such a way that you can make out a person with a suit and tie and another person with a suit and tie. And then there's movement. There appears to be movement to you. So it looks like his mouth is moving and sound is coming out of his mouth. All of that is illusion. And illusion is not evidence. Even what else is an illusion? A reflection. What's a reflection? Some scholars said a reflection is an illusion that Allah creates in a smooth surface. An illusion that Allah creates on a smooth surface. And being imaginable is not a condition for existence. So you would tell some people something like that Allah exists without a place, and that Allah is not a body, and He's not inside of the world, and He's not outside of the world. And then they would think you're denying His existence. Why would someone think you're denying God's existence when you say He is neither inside of the world nor outside of the world, and He is neither moving nor still, and He exists without a place? Why would someone think this is denying God's existence? Because he can't imagine what you're saying. So he thinks because he can't imagine what you're saying and because that's how weak his mind is, he thinks that you're saying something impossible. So you need to tell that person being imaginable is not a condition for existence. Did God not say in the Holy Hadith narrated by Al Bukhari? Holy Hadith here means Hadith Qudsi, narrated by Al Bukhari. قال الله عز وجل, Allah invincible and great said, أعددت لعبادي الصالحين ما لا عين رأت ولا أذن سمعت ولا خطر على قلب بشر. I have prepared for my pious slaves what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and what has never crossed any human's mind. That means you never imagined it, and no one ever imagined it, and you never will. So does that mean it's impossible to exist because you could never imagine it? No. Eyeglasses is a person seeing an illusion. There is something there in that. There is some relevance there for the eyeglasses, yes, because you're still looking through glass. So when you're looking through glass, then there's something there. That's why, for example, you could have a bottle of glass, a glass bottle, and it might look like from the outside that there's a lot of stuff in there, but in the inside, there's not a lot of stuff in there because of how the glass can uh, fool your senses, fool your vision. Beware, O intelligent Muslim, for few people escape the blunder of imagination. Few people escape the blunder of imagination. This is very important. If you want to be a person who doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and you want to be a person who's accurate, then you cannot take your imagination and your assumption as evidence. And most of the time, the imagination is wrong. Talking about imagining something you never saw. I'm not talking about something you saw before and then you imagined it after you saw it. So uh, keep your imagination under lock. Keep your imagination uh, under scrutiny, under surveillance. Keep your imagination under surveillance so that it doesn't take you away. Don't let the lines cross between sound rational thinking and imagination. And while we're there, be mindful also about your feelings, your emotions, especially, dare I say, especially the women. Because some people, even men, when their emotions flare, they can't think well. And then they will just, yani, really not thinking well is even an understatement. To have very, yani, when some people their emotions get uh, strong, khalas, their sound mind is out the window. Not that they're crazy, but I mean their rationale is gone. They don't think well. That's a nice way of putting it. One should not use his imagination to judge matters that he never experienced. Examples of illusions and delusions are such as the sun sinking into the ocean at sunset. Is the sun sinking into the ocean at sunset if you are at the seashore at sunset on a clear day and you see the sun going down? So it would appear to your eye that the sun is going into the ocean. The sun is not going into the ocean. Also, the sky connecting to the earth in the horizon. The sky connecting to the earth in the horizon. Is the sky touching the earth as far as your eye can see? It's not. The sky is over the earth. Over the earth, not surrounding the earth, also. Over. Just over only, not under the earth. The sky is not under the earth. If the sky is over the earth, not under the earth, not surrounding the earth, then that's a proof for you that there's nobody who's upside down on the earth. So don't believe in that imagination and in that assumption that there are people who live upside down on the earth. If you told them there's no one living upside down on the earth and they understand what you're saying, they would say, "What? You are ignorant." That's the imagination that they're living in. They believe that there's people who are upside down on the earth. That's something also that no one's going to be able to witness. Some people believe very firmly that there are people upside down on the earth, although they could never witness that. So what's that? That's imagination. Don't believe in your imagination. Also, the two sides of a road merging in the distance. The two sides of a road merging in the distance. Are the two sides of the road coming together? No, they're not. Or being certain that someone is home because the light is on, and perhaps even a car is parked out front. Does this mean he's home? Oh, okay, they are clues. Yes, they are clues only. But is it evidence that he's home? It's not evidence. So that's why it says here, being certain. It's one thing if you said his light is on his window, his car is parked outside. It's 1 a.m. I think he's home. I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is. But if you said 100%, there's no way I'm wrong, he must be in the house because the light is on and the car's outside and it's 1 a.m. So I am definitely, it's impossible that I'm wrong here. So can't think like that. Some scholars counted reflections as a type of illusion, like I just told you. It is an illusion that Allah creates on a smooth surface. For that reason, a person may see himself wider or taller, so because it's an illusion he's seeing. Or he may see the vastness of the sky in a small puddle or mirror or some piece of glass. That thing that has the reflection in it is not as big as the sky is, but if you look in it, then it looks like you can see the wide, wide sky. That's an illusion. Also, imagination concludes that Allah exists in a place because of being unable to imagine something shapeless, formless, colorless, beginningless, and endless. So there's nothing here for the imagination to conjure. Shapeless, formless, colorless, beginningless, endless. So what you can't imagine that. So if someone wanted to imagine God, then he's going to imagine God as something with a shape and a form and a color and a place. And that's what most people believe in. That's the religion of most people. That God is something with a shape and a form and a color and a place. Some of them worship Jesus, some of them worship fire, some of them worship animals or nature, some of them worship stars or particular stars, etc., etc., etc. However, the sound mind dictates that Allah exists without a place because he existed before creating places and directions. So he existed and there was no place. So his existence without a place is valid to the mind and it is unimaginable. To the contrary, many a matter is reached by the mind while crippling the imagination. Yani, there are things that you can arrive at soundly and correctly by use of your mind, and these matters cripple the imagination. That means you cannot imagine them, but you can still confirm them without them being imaginable to you, such as the time before light and darkness. Allah said in the first verse of Surah Al-An'am, الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور. The praise for his generosity is due to Allah, who created heavens and earth, the grandest creation seen by the people, and he made the darknesses and the light. How do we know there was a time before darkness and light? Before that, how do we know darkness and light are created, both of them? Because he told us here, وَجَعَلَ الظُّلُمَاتِ وَالنُّورِ. He made the darknesses and the light. So if he made them, that means they were preceded by non-existence. So they both, darkness and light, both have a beginning. So how do we know that there was a time before both of them? Someone might say, how do you know that when time started, there was one of them? How do you know there was a time before both of them? The answer is because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, كان الله ولم يكن شيء غيره وكان عرشه على الماء وكتب في الذكر كل شيء. This hadith. It means Allah was, and there wasn't anything else. So that means there was no light or dark. And then he created his arsh over the water. So those are the first two creations before light and dark. And he made the pen write into the tablet everything. He made the pen write everything into the tablet. So that's the next two creations. Right there, that's four creations before the existence of darkness and light. So then there was a time before both darkness and light, and this is unimaginable. But the mind does not reject it. You just can't imagine it. So that shouldn't be hard on you. And you say, this is so difficult, brother. So you don't say here, this is so hard. This is so deep, brother. Maybe it's deep, but it's not hard. Yani, if it's hard, because I'm telling you, the difference between what you can rationally realize and what you can imagine, then strengthen yourself there. That should be very, very easy for you. And this is very important. Also, what's something that the mind can confirm, but you cannot imagine it? The indivisible particle, the indivisible atom. It is unimaginable. Yani, a piece that's so small that it's not even made of two pieces. This is unimaginable, although it's rational. And if you say, wait, I can imagine a piece that's so small that it's not made of two pieces, how's that unimaginable? Because whatever it was you imagined, you could imagine it splitting into two pieces. So there's no way that you can imagine a piece that's so small that it can't be split into two pieces. That's one reason. And another reason why you can't imagine a piece that's so small that it can't be split into two pieces is because you never experienced it. You couldn't feel it. You can't see it. There's no way for you to sense it or detect it, and by any normal means. So such a piece is so miniature that it escapes all of your senses, and therefore there is no way for you to recap it in your mind, Yani, by your imagination. So you can't imagine it. Although it is rational. How is rational? What makes it so rational that there are atoms so small that you can't split them into two pieces? Because it has to be the case because we see things having different sizes. Isn't there a difference between a mustard seed and a mountain? Yes. The mustard seed is very small and the mountain is very large. So that proves that each one has its own number of particles, its own number of atoms. How many atoms make up that mustard seed? I don't know. But it's way less than the number of atoms that make up the mountain. And that's why the mountain is many, many times larger, like thousands of times larger than, maybe millions of times larger than a mustard seed. Take those particles that make up the mustard seed and then multiply that by millions, and then inshallah you'll get a mountain. So then this means that each one has a finite number, a limited number of atoms, or a limited number of pieces, a limited number of units that form its volume, that make up its volume, that make up how much space it takes up. So an indivisible atom is indeed rational, but you couldn't imagine it. As well as a single indivisible moment of time, same thing. Single indivisible moment of time, yani you could imagine a year, you could imagine a month, you could imagine a week, you could imagine a day, you could imagine an hour, you could imagine a minute, you can imagine a second, and you could even imagine half a second, but you can't imagine a single indivisible moment of time. Although, for sure, there is a such thing as a single indivisible moment of time. Because that single indivisible moment of time joins with another one, which joins with another one. Eventually, you're going to get a second, and then eventually, you're going to get a minute, and then eventually, you're going to get an hour, etc. And what else is confirmed by the mind, although you can't imagine it? Eternity and everlastingness. Eternity means beginninglessness. The mind confirms the validity and, in fact, the necessity of eternity, because God exists in eternity. That means without beginning. Since we, since our minds necessitate that there's a God, then our minds necessitate eternality, beginninglessness. But you could not imagine beginninglessness. And everlastingness, same thing. Also, one could only imagine some of heavens and earth. What can you imagine of heavens and earth? Just only some of it. Although his mind confirms all of them. There are 7 heavens and 7 earths. Yani, there is at least, of course, this sky above us and this earth that we live on. That sky above us has a totality. This earth that we live on has a totality. You are unable to imagine all of it. Just that much, you can't even imagine all of it. You can only imagine some of it, but your mind says there is a total to it. There is a whole, there is a complete earth, but I can't imagine all of it. There is a complete heaven, but I can't imagine all of it. And what else is confirmed by the mind but unimaginable? The endless things known to Allah and the endless things under His power. So we know that God knows everything. And He even knows what's not going to happen, and if it would happen, how it would happen. So, khalas. All possibilities are known to Allah. Even what will never happen, He knows it in all detail. So the endless things known to Allah, including what will happen in the future, the unending future, what will happen in the unending future in paradise and in hell, God knows it. So the endless things known to Him, that's confirmed for us. That's why we're saying it right now. We confirm the endless things known to Allah by our sound minds, and we could never imagine that. And the endless things under His power. Yani, because Allah has the power to create anything possible, Anything possible. He created creatures that don't have any legs. They slither about on their bellies. And he created creatures with 2 legs, and created creatures with 4 legs, and created creatures with 6 legs, and created creatures with 8 legs. And even more than that, he has the power to create anything he willed, anything possible. How does the angel have 600 wings? Yani, I cannot imagine 600 wings on an angel. It's beyond, for me personally, it's beyond my imagination. I can imagine 2, I can imagine 4, I cannot imagine 600 wings. SubhanAllah. And since imagination is removed from many confirmations, like we just showed now, imagination is removed from many confirmations. For sure, the eternal, glorified, and exalted unique one cannot be summoned by the imagination. Allah says in the 42nd verse of Surah Al-Najm, وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. The intellects do not reach the reality of your Lord. That's the meaning of the ayah. As for translating it very literally, I don't find it easy. To your Lord is the extent, or to your Lord is the ultimate. What does that mean? It means the intellects cannot reach God's reality. Subhanallahi wa bihamdi. So we'll stop there. And then we have one more chapter to cover, inshallah ta'ala, and we will have finished this humble booklet, inshallah ta'ala. Do you have any question I can answer for you?
Sorry.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I hear these classes. I understand it. Why? I probably ask you this a lot of times. Why is it the Wahhabis do not understand this? So I don't understand it.
Because they are misguided. That's the case right there. They're misguided.
My children understand.
Yeah, Allah guided them. Yani, your children, Allah guided them. But Allah didn't guide those people. So their hearts are not going to understand. What did Allah Ta'ala say to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? Innaka la tusmi'ul mawta. You do not make the dead hear, O Muhammad. This dead here, those dead ones mentioned here in the ayah don't mean the people who are in their graves. This means the kuffar who won't believe. You can't make them hear, O Muhammad. And other ayahs in the Quran. What's that ayah in Surah Yasin? Allah says, لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. It means the messenger warns whoever was alive. What does that mean? This means only the believers who believe will benefit from what came in the religion, what came in the Quran. I'm talking about they will benefit from the preaching. They will be the ones exclusively, only them who will benefit from the warning. لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا, to warn anyone who's alive. So those ones that you're asking me about, they are like dead ones. They won't understand. What did Allah tell us about kuffar? That they are like animals. In what way? That if you say to the animal, if you talk to the animal, what does he hear you? He hears you. But does he understand what you are saying? He doesn't understand what you are saying. So you say to the animal, nice weather we're having here today, isn't it? So he's just going to look at you, but he understands, and he hears you. So that's how they are. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.